On this video, we're going to talk about the 3 foods you want to avoid immediately because they're bad for your brain. So I want to dive into these because some of these are sneaky, some of them are obvious, but I want you to understand why these need to come out of your diet so you can have amazing brain health. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Okay, the first one is high-mercury seafood. It's the first one. Now, I want to point out that I didn't say all seafood. I said high-mercury seafood. And I then want to break this down and walk you through this idea of, well, why mercury? So mercury is a heavy metal that the body cannot excrete on its own. So I can tell you for years in my clinic, we detoxed thousands of people. We tested heavy metal on thousands of people, and everybody had mercury in their system. And mercury it's a neurotoxin, but it's excitatory. So a lot of the anxiety, a lot of the racing thoughts, a lot of the OCD can be linked to mercury. So we want to really keep our mercury load down, and certain fishes, I'll get into here in a moment, are very high in mercury count. So now, there was an interesting study that I want to quote for you because I know a lot of you come to my channel for science, and a lot of doctors send their patients here. And so I always just want to back up what I'm saying with science. And this one was a 2011 review, showed that mercury causes massive brain inflammation. And it even went on to say it can cause neuronal damage. So why would that be? Since mercury is a neurotoxin, when it goes into the brain doesn't know what to do with it, so it causes an inflammatory response. And that inflammation is meant to carry that toxin out or protect that cell from more mercury getting in. So when the brain inflames, guess what? Cognition goes down, which is your ability to hold on to new words. Memory goes down. Focus goes down. So think of it like with mercury, you have now put something into the system that the body is like, no, this isn't good. We're going to create a barrier around it. And in all of that inflammation, you're now struggling to remember words and to stay on task. So when it comes to fish, there are large fish and there are old fish that you want to avoid. So the mercury-rich fish tend to be in the bigger fish. So this was interesting because big fish eat the small fish, and then they get a bigger buildup. So some examples of this are swordfish, bluefin tuna is one. I'll tell you a couple more here that I looked up for you. But then we have to look at the old fish. And one of the problems with the old fish is that they've just been around for so long that all of a sudden, all of the mercury that's in our waters, because our waters are polluted, all that mercury that's in there now in those old fish have been there for a while. And so you're getting a high level of mercury toxicity. And this is for a good example of this is orange roughy. When I went and actually did what are the top offending mercury foods, the list that I was given is shark, ray, swordfish, barramundi, gemfish, and bluefin tuna. So those of you who have given up tuna because of mercury, just make sure you don't get the bluefin tuna. And when you walk into your store, there are now tunas in a can that are actually labeling that it's a sustainable fish that's free of mercury. So we clumped tuna into one category of high in mercury, but it's really just the bluefin tuna. Okay, so a good thing to remember of like what's your acceptable fish so you don't get this mercury toxicity is an acronym called SMASH. So S stands for salmon, M stands for mackerel, A stands for anchovies, S is sardines, and H is herring. So SMASH, the SMASH. So this is why, like, I can tell you for myself when I'm out ordering food at a restaurant or picking up fish for my house, I always go with wild salmon. Wild salmon's higher in omega-3s, doesn't have the mercury. And I can tell you the redness of that salmon it's a deeper red than the farm raised. So let's just be, again, not throwing all the fish out. We're just throwing these higher mercury fish. Number 2 is aspartame. Now, this one is really interesting because aspartame is found in a lot of your diet foods. So, and what's interesting about aspartame is it also is a neurotoxin. Brain doesn't know what to do with it. And one of the things it does, ironically enough, is it increases hunger. So it's crazy when you break it down. You're like, wait, I'm drinking a Diet Coke to lose weight, but the aspartame in it is stimulating my appetite and making me eat more. Like, we literally need to start to think like this because the food world has gotten so complicated. But when it comes to the brain, what's really interesting about aspartame is aspartame breaks down into a component called phenylalanine. And phenylalanine can cross the blood-brain barrier, which means it can go into the center of the brain and it can start to affect the production of neurotransmitters, specifically dopamine, the biggest one, norepinephrine and epinephrine. Now think about that. These are your excitatory neurotransmitters. So I'm drinking a diet drink every single day, has aspartame in it. My hunger's going up and my neurotransmitter production is going down. So I'm not getting enough dopamine. So I'm feeling a little blah and maybe a little sad, which is now making me want to eat more food to help get more dopamine, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So it's, again, the food system, we have to start to navigate this different because aspartame really can affect those neurotransmitter production. And then I found also another study that was interesting that it showed it also increased cortisol production, which for those of you who have been following me for a while, I've really talked about how cortisol, when it is high, it makes you insulin resistant. It affects how well you can use insulin. And when you're insulin resistant, your sex hormones go off. So again, we're back at the simple act of a daily drinking a diet soda, and we're not only having this brain inflammation because it's a neurotoxin, but we've shut down neurotransmitter production, and now we've raised cortisol that starts to make us more insulin resistant and affects our hormones. Can you see how complicated this is? So I hope you're getting the simplicity of this. Then the third one that I want to bring to your attention that's horrible for your brain is artificial food coloring. And I'll tell you a story. Like, one of my nemesis foods when my kids were little were those Go-Gurts. If those of you that have been watching my videos may have heard me talk about it. You know those little Go-Gurts that were in plastic and they slurp in the yogurt that's bright blue or bright pink, and then the mouth is completely pink or blue? Well, most of those have artificial colorings in them. And so what we know about artificial coloring is that it causes the brain to become hyperactive. So there was an interesting 2012 study that showed artificial coloring may cause brain changes that impair attention and contribute to hyperactivity, which is why it's ridiculous we would give it to a child and then have them sit in class. Please send this video to a parent that needs to know this, that might have a hyperactive child or a child that's struggling in school. But I went on and looked for more research for you all, and this was interesting that there was a review that showed that nearly 10% of all ADHD cases can be linked to artificial dye consumption. Now, 10% is not a huge amount, but maybe, we even have ADHD in adults. So let's start to kind of take that out and see what happens. And then the last thing that I think is really interesting about artificial coloring is that they did EEGs on college students. And the college students that ate more of these artificial coloring, they had decrease in both short-term and long-term attention. And they also found that their brain didn't have as much energy. Okay, this is interesting because if you're following all my videos, you're going to start to see patterns of things that I'm teaching you. And one of the things that I'm recently been thinking about is those of you that are really hungry. And sometimes hunger is the fact that the brain needs more energy, and so it gives you hunger signals, hoping you will give it the right food so that you will have enough glucose for your brain. Well, when we're eating artificial colorings, foods, not only are we affecting the neurotransmitter production, and we're affecting the hyperactivity, but we're affecting attention short and long term, and increasing hunger potentially.
Okay, have you been watching my videos and you're like, I don't know how to put this stuff all together? You might need my fasting lifestyle free course. I'll teach you exactly how to do it. Just click on the link below. It'll take it to you, and it's absolutely free. My gift to you.
So it's a really interesting quagmire. And to me, it's just, there's some general rules. In Eat Like a Girl, I share with you a personal value system for food that I have used. And it's part of that personal value system is that you know what foods you're willing to eat and what foods you're not willing to eat. So when I look at these three, because my brain is so important to me, I am like, no high-mercury fish, no aspartame, and no artificial colors. That is a golden rule I will always live by. And I do it because of my brain power. I want my brain not only to be good today, but I want my brain to be good at 90 and at 100. So, because that's how long I'm going for. So just let that sink in. It's sometimes we get frustrated because our brain doesn't work the way we want it to work. And could it be as simple as these three foods? So let me know if that helps. I'm going to give you a challenge, and that's to go 30 days without any of these three. No high-mercury fish, no aspartame, and no artificial color. And see what happens. Just give yourself 30 days off of that stuff and see what happens with your brain. And then everything that I've just shared with you, you'll feel on yourself. Because it's one thing to hear my words and another thing to experience it. So these are my thoughts on these foods and brain power. Now you go experience it and then report back and tell me how that works. Links to these studies all in the show notes here. So if you want to dive in, the science geeks out there, or if you're a doctor who sends your patients to my YouTube channel, thank you. And I will always keep the science flowing so everybody can see where I'm getting this information from. So as always, I hope this helps, and don't give up on yourself. Your brain is the most important organ in your body. And when you treat it well, it will absolutely reflect back to you how healthy it is in happiness, in focus, in memory, in sleep, all the things you're wanting to have happen. Your brain will show you you're doing the right thing when all of those line up and are in a good place. So as always, hope that helps.
Okay, if you loved this video, you're going to want to check out the next video of my food series. On this video, want to talk about the healthy foods that you might be eating that will stop you from a long and healthy life.